It's still
Yeah,
bending
it still is
slowly.
bending very slowly
Look at
upward.
that, look.
Some of them say they do it by genuine psychic powers, and maybe they do. When I do it, it's a trick. You pay your money, you take your choice, but it looks the same.
But if it's not psychic, why hasn't anyone actually seen Geller bend a spoon with his hands? Well, in fact, a number of people say they have. One of them is Bob Cootie, who visited Geller at his home when he was researching a radio series and a book on the paranormal.
He took the spoon and then said, well, I need to be near something metal. And he stepped to one side. And as he stepped over, he sort of pushed in and down. And then he turned the spoon and hid the bend behind his hand and then began to rub the spoon and made it appear that it was then bending. And it was, I was very startled and in a way shocked, and I was thinking, what? I mean, this was his house in front of his family, and you don't go into another man's house and call him a liar in front of his own wife and children.
Yes.
Will you bend the spoon for me?
Yes, I'll just wait for him to bring a teaspoon. Excuse me.
Geller featured on the Gotcha segment of Noel Edmonds' house party, but somehow discovered the hidden cameras. This was hailed as proof of his psychic powers. But before he rumbled Noel's plot, he performed some feats in a way that critics think is revealing.
Look, you see it's beginning.
Oh.
Oh my God!
It's
See,
unbelievable.
it's bending upwards.
At a restaurant table, Geller bent a spoon a little, and then the other diners started to take an interest.
I didn't come to do a show here, but with I'm doing it with my mind.
It clearly seems to me as though he bent the spoon as he was standing up.
Yes, of course. Yes.
Then he walked over to one of the other diners and handed the spoon to her. And it's clear that the spoon is bent a lot more when it leaves his hand than when it went into his hands. And I wonder why he needed, with this light object like a spoon, to put it over and hold it in both hands, and why this suspicious move was made.
Despite his reputation as a spoon bender, Geller is just as likely to make a piece of cutlery break, like this. It's a different effect, but is it caused by supernatural means? An easier way to create this effect would be to weaken the spoon beforehand by bending it back and forth to the point at which it's about to fracture. When the time comes, it would need only a little more manipulation to make it break. Is there any metallurgical difference between a spoon broken by repeated bending and this one allegedly broken psychically by Geller?
The psychokinetic energy melts the molecular structure of the metal and breaks it.
I managed to get hold of a spoon that Geller had broken, the fracture surface of this, and I had this examined in a scanning electron microscope, and a fatigue fracture in the metal is very, very characteristic. And so when we looked at the spoons that Geller had broken, we could see these fatigue striations in the fracture surface, and that was a clear indication that he'd broken the spoon by having a sort of bending operation like that on it. He perhaps did that sort of bending off camera. It's going, it's going, it's going, it's gone. There's nothing magical about that. That's straightforward metallurgy. Low cycle, high strain fatigue.